Today on Judge Faith, a fight between these brothers over who spent whose money and on what.
He owed me. The reason I spent it was because Gerald would have took the money and went to the dope man and smoked it up.
Was there an issue with drugs going on with you at the time?
Before the accident, yes, it was.
And what's your status now?
Right now, the last time I used was maybe about 2 weeks ago.
And later, someone will pay the price in this argument over nickels and dimes.
You have a tenant who's lived in your home, and you know that a tenant is only responsible for damages beyond normal wear and tear.
The reason those are left out on the porch is because during our so-called walkthrough, she locked me out of the house before I could put them back up in the bathroom.
And I didn't charge her to be put them back up.
But I
That is so nice of you.
I didn't.
Plaintiff Gerald Clipper says he asked the defendant to hold some of his money until he was able to open a bank account. However, when time came to ask for his money back, he discovered that the defendant had spent the money on bills. The plaintiff is suing his brother for the return of his funds. Defendant Kenneth Clipper says that after he fell on hard times, he needed the money for food and bills to support his family. He also feels that he was owed the money because of all the years he had helped his brother financially without ever being reimbursed.
Remain seated and come to order. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Your Honor, this case is Clipper versus Clipper.
Thank you, Barbara. Gerald Clipper?
Yes, ma'am.
You are suing your brother Kenneth Clipper for $3,223 you say he owes you?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Okay, why don't we start from the beginning, sir? Tell me what's going on between the two of you.
What happened was I'm suing my brother for that amount because I had an accident at work.
Okay, you had an accident?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
At work, and let's back up a little bit. Prior to that, what was your relationship with your brother like?
We was real close. We've always been close, real tight, look similar. I'm a little taller, but we just been so close all our lives, you know.
Do you have other siblings?
Yes, I do.
Okay, how many?
I have 3 other brothers and 1 sister.
Okay, and who's the oldest out of the 2 of you?
I am.
You are? Okay. How would you describe your relationship?
I would say, you know, prior to that, we were close. We were a close-knit family, but that changed with this incident.
With this case?
Yes.
Okay. Because I understand from your case, you came into some money.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And you gave some money to your siblings, and then you loaned some money as well.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And you say you haven't been paid back that money from your brother.
Yes.
And so take me to the beginning, to how you came into a sum of money and what happened.
Well, I had an accident at work. I was off work. I had 1st to 2nd degree burns on my whole face.
What happened at work?
I was cooking some rice. Upon me putting my strainer in the sink from where I was cooking the rice, that I turned with a big pot. And so I as I turned to the left here, I had the pot in my hand, I tripped over a mat. As I tripped over the mat, so I went down to the floor with it. As I hit the ground, I messed my shoulder up here a little bit, and I had 1st to 2nd degree burns on my face and my left arm.
Did you sue your job at that
Yes,
point?
I did, yes.
Okay, and according to your complaint, you received a settlement about a year later in July of 2012?
Yes, ma'am, I
And
did.
how much was that settlement?
The total amount was $30,000.
Were you healed from all of your injuries from the accident?
Mentally, no. Physically, it's kind of gotten a little bit better over the past year.
But you recovered, and you're here.
I'm here, thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. And so what happens next? So you get this lump sum settlement.
Yes, ma'am.
And you start to disperse some funds. Tell me what happened.
Upon getting the settlement, I figured, well, I'll go down and see my daughter, see my grandkids, you know, spend a little time with them, spend a little money. Ken had asked me before, when he knew the settlement was coming, he asked me, would I loan him $5,000? I said, I'll give you $1,000. And I said, I know you're in financial problems or whatever, so I'll loan you $1,000. He says, yeah, that's pretty good.
So you give him $1,000, you loan him an additional $1,000. Did he tell you that?
Yes, he did tell me that. Well, at that initial time that he got his settlement, I was laid off, and I was in a big bind. I was in a major, major bind. I have 2 children, a wife. I had rent to pay. Car note was backed up 3 months.
What were you doing for a living at the time?
I was a operations manager for a company. So at that time, you know, all of this backed up. I went through all my 401k, went through all my savings, and me being the good brother that has helped him out throughout his life. Gerald has been kind of like just a screw up of the siblings. He hasn't maintained a job. I'm giving him $20, $40, $50, $100 here and there paying for various things. So at my time of need, I felt like he owed me that. He owed me 10 times more than that, than what I've done for him over the years. But it's a sibling thing, and I never looked at it as, you know, hey, I'm keeping track of all of this that I'm doing for you as your brother.
Well, it kind of sounds like you are.
Well, I wasn't. I don't have documents showing all of these, you know, various plane tickets that I purchased or all the $100 bills, you know, that I slipped him.
And you feel like he owes you this money.
Well, he owes me probably.
But you didn't have a discussion with him about that, right?
We had already agreed upon him holding some money for me, approximately $7,000 to $10,000. So what happened was
Wait. So you wanted him to hold
just
some
hold the
money for you?
Yes, ma'am.
And what do you mean by hold?
$7,500.
I'm sorry?
It was $7,500.
Okay, and why did you need him to do that?
Because I didn't know where I was going to be at. Because I was in the process of moving to Texas, which...
Why him? Why trust him with $7,500? And where was he supposed to keep it, under his mattress?
Coming up on Judge Faith.
Ken calls me and says, look, I spent your money. I almost fainted. I couldn't tell you. My knees got buckled. I said, oh, Lord.
And later, who is responsible for maintaining the lawn?
And the lease did state clearly that she was responsible for maintaining the yard.
Correct, and she did not honor that.
But then there's a point where you take over the responsibilities
because
for the
she
yard.
neglected the lawn. She wasn't going to do it.
Plaintiff Gerald Clipper is suing his brother for the return of money that he was supposed to be holding for the plaintiff, but ended up spending on bills instead. Defendant Kenneth Clipper says that the money was owed to him because of all the years he helped his brother financially without ever being paid back.
The agreement was he would at some point come back and get his money, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, that was the agreement.
Yes.
So what happens?
I called him and I says, look, Ken, I need that money, so cause I think I'm gonna leave next week and go back down to Texas. Ken calls me and says, look, I spent your money. And I says, what? He says, I spent your money.
All of it?
I had to pay bills, I had to pay my car registration. I almost fainted. I couldn't tell you. My knees got buckled. I said, oh, Lord. And
Yeah, but
it was...
You spent all of the money?
No, I didn't spend all of it. I spent approximately $4,000.
Did you give him any of the money back?
Yes, I gave him $2,500 back.
Okay.
But the reason I spent it was because Gerald would have took the money and went to the dope man and smoked it up. I knew that. So for me to watch it go to them instead of me paying my rent and having a roof over my kids' heads while I'm unemployed and I'm pounding the pavement looking for employment, and him doing that was an easy choice for me. He owed me. He owed me that from the prior, years of me taking care of him.
No. No. It wasn't going to the dope.
Was there an issue with drugs going on with you at the time?
Before the accident, yes, it was. And I think that he
And what's your status now?
Right now, the last time I used was maybe about 2 weeks ago. Very little bit. The last time I had a drink was...
So you're trying. You're
So
trying
I'm
to get yourself on the right track. Do you have any money left from the settlement?
No. But at least have an account for it. And I wrote down everything that I spent. And it wasn't for them to understand. It wasn't for my girlfriend to understand. It was for me to understand. It's my money.
Well, I mean, what you just said right then is really the key to this case, and that's what I want you to understand. I have to decide if you owe him this money or if you have a proper legal defense as to why you haven't paid him back. And from what I've heard from you today, everything you've done for him over the years, you think he owes you, but that wasn't the agreement.
Yes, I understand.
So what you're saying is not a legal defense, sir, to you not returning the money to him. And I think that with everything you've told me today, the real reason why you kept the money is because you needed it. You told me you were down and out. You've been laid off from your job. You were in a really bad place. You needed the money, and so you spent it. That's just the bottom line. I know that you say you've done so much for him, but, you should have let him know and communicated to him that you really needed it and what the situation was. But at the end of the day, this is a court of law, so I find that you owe Mr. Clipper $3,223. Verdict in this case for the plaintiff. Good luck to both of you.
Plaintiff Gail Wiler says that when she finally decided to move from her apartment after paying rent for almost 2 years, her landlord refused to do a proper walkthrough and failed to return the full amount of her security deposit. Defendant Gina Phillips says she deducted only the costs of the damaged items and provided an itemized list for the plaintiff to review. She says that she owes nothing more to the plaintiff and is countersuing for gardening expenses.
Gail Wiler,
Yes.
you are suing the defendant Gina Phillips.
Yes.
For $1,045 for the return of a security deposit?
Correct.
So you are countersuing, ma'am, for $1,105 for gardener's expenses?
Yes.
We'll start with you, Ms. Wiler. When did you move into the defendant's property?
The early part of November 2013, I think it was November 4th.
Okay, and is this a house or an apartment?
It is a house.
Okay, and how long have you owned the home, ma'am?
Since 1986.
Okay. And did the two of you sign a lease?
Yes, we did.
Do you have a copy of it?
Yes, I do.
How long was the duration of the lease?
Originally, it was for 2 years, Your Honor.
And so during that 2-year time period, did you have any problems collecting the rent from the plaintiff or anything like that?
Not at all.
Okay, so she was never late on her rent?
No.
Okay, great. Okay, and what about you? When you were living in the home, were there any issues?
Yes, there were. From the beginning, when I agreed to a 2-year lease, I was under the assumption that there were certain agreements that we were going to make, and one was that she would pay for the water, and in the beginning, we would take care of the yard.
When you say we, who do you mean?
It was my partner at the time was living there as well.
Okay.
And we trimmed all the hedges that were kind of overgrown, and we tried to do our best, and according to Gina, failed to meet her standards.
Right, and that's the basis for your counterclaim, right?
Correct.
Did you pay a security deposit when you moved in?
Yes, I did.
How much was that?
$1,700.
And when you moved out, how much of that security deposit did you get back?
I got back approximately $1,000, but that included a week of prorated rent. So I think the actual security deposit was around $700.
Okay, and so that's why you're suing for the
For the
remainder of your
1,000.
security deposit. Now, you kept $1,045 of the security deposit.
Correct.
Was for
I
prorated
did some
rent.
itemized deductions, and
Okay.
I have a list of the deductions.
Okay, so I want you to tell me about the money that you deducted from her security deposit. You say there were damages and other issues with the gardening.
There was a lot of deferred maintenance, Your Honor, around the property. It's one thing to be expected to, maintain a property, but I wasn't in a financial position to catch up some of her deferred maintenance, so to speak.
So you're suing for gardening expenses, but didn't at
Correct.
some point, because I see the lease, and the lease did state clearly that she was responsible for maintaining the yard.
Correct, and she did not honor that.
But then there's a point where you take over the responsibilities
because
for the
she
yard.
neglected the lawn. She wasn't going to do it.
Well, but ma'am, that was in May of 2013.
Correct.
And
yes.
you move out in
July 24th, 2014.
okay, so that's over a year.
Coming up on Judge Faith, is her landlord overcharging for wear and tear?
Unauthorized removal of bathroom blinds.
The reason those are left out on the porch is because she locked me out of the house before I could put them back up in the bathroom.
And I didn't charge her to be put them back up.
But I
That is so
offered.
nice of you.
I didn't.
Plaintiff Gail Wiler is suing her landlord for the full amount of her security deposit. Defendant Gina Phillips says she owes nothing more because of damages to the property.
There's a point where you take over the responsibilities
Because
for the
she
yard.
neglected the lawn. She wasn't going to do it.
So you're
Correct.
maintaining the yard for over a year. How are you suing for her not maintaining the
The
yard?
only reason I was only responsible for water only. In their lease, they were to maintain the yard on a monthly basis, and they neglected. Then I received a phone call where someone told me, Jeannie, you might want to drive by your house. It's not looking good. And that's when I drove by. I then took a few pictures of the property because grass was overgrown, hedges were overgrown.
But you do understand, ma'am, that tenants don't take care of yards like it's their own
But it's
property.
written in-
like you would. I mean, it's one
Exactly.
thing to cut the grass, but it's another thing if you want them to prune the hedges and plant
Right,
rose
but she
bushes,
wasn't even cutting the
because they're not
grass.
going to do that.
Correct, but she wasn't even cutting the grass.
Because here I have emails submitted to the court where in May of 2013 you take over the landscaping.
Correct.
So you can't then come in and sue for her not taking care
I
of
wasn't-
the yard.
Your Honor, if I may, I wouldn't have even had to sue her if she had been honorable about our agreement to leave the property early and to work together on presenting the property back to her in good standing. She never discussed the backyard being like expecting me to resoil, reseed, and correct
You
the
let the grass die.
inoperable
You didn't water
things?
the
So let me
grass.
ask you
You let the
this,
grass die.
Miss Phillips. Let me ask you this because you provided a list of the damages you say, and now you know you've been a landlord for a number of years now, and you know that a tenant is only responsible for damages beyond normal wear and tear. You have a tenant who's lived in your home for 20 months. Okay, and then I have a list of things you say you deducted from her security deposit that are beyond normal wear and tear. So I want to look at some photos that the plaintiff submitted to court.
Okay.
Okay, this is the kitchen area. This is after she moved out. That's how the kitchen looked, correct?
I took that during the quick walkthrough, if you can call it that.
I mean, it's virtually spotless.
Yes.
Let's go to the next, because you charged her for professional cleaning, so that's why I'm asking. Okay, this is the living room area. Again, virtually spotless. Let's go to the next photo. Looks great. What room is this, ma'am?
This is the dining room, living room, and that is her plant that I took care of and watered for a year and a half.
I mean, the home looks beautiful.
She asked for it. You asked for it. You asked me to leave it. Let's be real, Gail.
Miss
You
Phillips,
asked me
Miss
to leave
Phillips.
it. You
Come
asked
on.
me to leave it.
Miss
and I
Phillips,
said,
does the
okay.
plant look good?
It's wonderful.
Okay,
She took good
let's go
care
to the
of
next
my
photo.
plant. Yes, she did.
Now let's look at your evidence that you submitted. Okay.
Oh,
You say she left
that's
behind
horrible.
debris. Ma'am, what is that?
I had a tree service. I had a tree that had some damage, and I had to hire some professionals to come, and they asked for the people to leave wood for fire.
So you're deducting that from the deposit. Okay, we're not
Well,
going to
no,
do that. Let's go to the next one.
Okay.
Backyard where there was grass, now there's no grass. Now you've been maintaining this for a year, so how is that her fault?
She didn't water.
Let's go to the next photo. Unauthorized removal of bathroom blinds left outside. Is this the best we can do here in terms of damages?
Well, what happened, she did not get permission to remove the blinds.
Okay.
When we did the walkthrough, that's
And you're
when I
keeping
discovered-
$1,000 of her security
I'm not
deposit?
keeping $1,000. I don't know why you keep saying $1,000. It's not $1,000 that's withheld.
It's $1,000.
You deducted-
Tina.
We wrote,
The total for damages, as you have listed here, $1,055.09. Correct?
Okay, correct.
So the total that you subtracted, that she said you illegally subtracted, is
Okay.
$1,055.
Correct.
Okay?
Okay.
All right, what do you want to say?
Oh, well, could I address that picture?
Yes.
The reason those are left out on the porch is because during our so-called walkthrough, she took the keys and she locked me out of the house before I could put them back up in the bathroom.
And I didn't charge her to be put them back up.
But I
That is so nice of you.
I didn't charge her to put them back up.
Thank
You
you.
are so
She never
generous.
got my permission to remove them.
So here's what else you took off for. Do we have another photo? We have two more? Let me see them. Excessive, this is
Yeah,
you.
I'm not charging her for all of that. I'm just letting her know.
Excessive hair in the
Yeah,
drain.
that was just photos of how she left my house.
Now, Judge Faith rules.
My question to you is, after
Okay.
someone lives in a house for 20 months,
Correct.
do you not think there may be some mildew in the shower?
I expected her to be responsible and clean it.
But do you think that's beyond normal wear and tear?
No. But in the lease, it states that I am to receive my property back in the identical condition that the tenant received
Well,
it.
then we're all wasting a bunch of time here because it's
ma'am,
actually
stop,
clean.
stop.
That's it.
So I'm glad I heard what you think, Ms. Phillips, because I'm going to tell you what I think.
Okay.
I think you owe her $1,055.09, which is the rest of her security deposit, and I'm ordering you to pay that, ma'am, just before the plaintiff.
But she ain't paid it.
This tenant thought it was bad enough getting evicted.
You know, I went and fought the eviction, so I'm at the eviction case, and, you know, I lost. I go home, I look inside, and everything I own is stolen.
But the defendant says he caused his own problems.
Policemen came over, they came into the house, they came into the kitchen, they looked in Mr. Rhoads' room, and they saw someone in his room doing drugs.
When you have someone in a home selling heroin, they're going to be paranoid.
And later, a friendship destroyed over a rental car mishap.
So you were driving the rental car,
Yes.
and you hit your car, which your daughter was driving from
Yes,
behind.
yes.
Okay, and that's what caused the damage?
Yeah, I gave her the $280. I think the balance left was like $200. I was like, put that towards what I owe on the car. She never did that.
Plaintiff Josh Rhoads is suing the manager of his former rental room for $14,900, the cost of stolen belongings and rent he says he is owed. Defendant John Scurich says he was forced to evict the former tenant and denies stealing his property.
Remain seated and come to order. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Your Honor, this is Rhoads versus Scurich.
Thank you, Barbara. Joshua Rhoads.
Yes, Your Honor.
You are suing the defendant, John Scurich, for $14,900.
Correct.
$9,900 for 18 months of rent you say you paid to him to rent an illegal apartment.
Correct.
And $5,000 for musical instruments you say he stole from you.
Correct.
Tell me what this case is about.
Well, I was referred to the place to where I was living by a friend, and it was a garage.
You were living in a garage?
Right. It was a garage at first. It was a garage at first, and I kind of turned it into a room. I figured I'd move in there, and then once the room became available, which we had talked about, I would move into the room.
You own a home with a garage, and you rent out various rooms. Can you just explain to me how that works?
I rent a room in the house myself, so I do not own the property.
Okay.
The garage was being rented out. He agreed to move in and moved into the garage.
But he made an agreement with you, so are you managing this home? How does it work?
I'm kind of collecting the rent and then paying the landlord.
Okay, so how many rooms are rented to various people?
5 rooms.
Okay, and how much did you agree to pay in rent?
It was $550.
And was there running water in the garage?
No running water. The initial rent was $500 a month is what he agreed to pay for, and he had complete access to the whole house, to the kitchen, to all the bathrooms, to all the facilities in the house.
So there's no bathroom or kitchen or running water or anything like that?
No,
Correct.
there was only one electrical outlet. You know, there was rodents at times. It was, freezing cold. I have a 9-year-old daughter.
You don't have heat, right?
No, there was no heat. There was no heat. There was nothing in the garage. It was absolutely unbearable at times.
So how long did you live there?
I think it was over 18 months. It was a little over 18 months.
Your Honor, if I can add something. As far as his living condition goes, he built a wall inside the garage, which he didn't ask to do. He just went ahead and did that. And right outside the door of the garage into the house, there's a bathroom. So he had his own private bathroom right there.
He has a private bathroom, but he has to go inside of the house to use it.
He opens the
It
door.
wasn't a private bathroom. It was a community bathroom. Everybody used the bathroom when they pleased.
But you had access to the bathroom.
I did
you have
have
a key
access.
or
Actually,
something
at
like
one
that?
point, my 9-year-old daughter had to go to the bathroom outside because it was late one night. We couldn't get inside. I don't know why the doors were locked. Something was blocking the door. I think it was the washer or dryer from her to get inside to use that bathroom.
Wait, was your 9-year-old living with you? You were trying to...
She visited from time to time, as much as she possibly could. She lives with her mom, so it was after that she wasn't able to visit, because she went and told her mom.
Well,
Mom was
you know what?
upset
If
about
I
it.
were her mom, I wouldn't want my 9-year-old having to use the bathroom outside. Let's get to why we're here today.
He said I had a problem with a roommate in the house, and that's why I ended up moving out, or had to move out. Well, the problem was I came to know that the person was doing illegal activity inside the house.
What kind of illegal activity?
Selling drugs.
Okay, how did you learn that?
Basically, seeing the people come and go, and whatnot.
Did you know, sir?
I was aware of it, that was the implication, that was going on. And I had spoken to him before about not doing that he was renting a room there, he had his room, he paid his rent, but that I didn't approve of that and that he had to stop doing that.
What kind of drugs was he selling?
I think heroin.
So what did you do? You called the police?
Well, no, actually, the person called the police, and the police came and they arrested him. They found, I guess $50,000 and, I don't know, a bunch of heroin, a gun, and they arrested him, and he left. And then Mr. Scurich had somebody else move in, I swear, not even an hour later.
And you're upset because you thought that during this 18 months you were living in the garage, that at some point you were going to be upgraded to a room in the house.
Yes,
And that didn't happen.
Exactly what happened. And we had a conversation, and I told him I wanted to move to the room downstairs. He said to me that I made the garage kind of my own room, because I did fix it up. I painted it. I made it as nice as I possibly could. I put the wall up, for my daughter, for me, make it the best possible. And we had that conversation, and he said, "Oh, you made the garage your own. You should just stay in here. It's going to be too hard to rent out a garage opposed from a room."
If I could say something, I never promised him a room.
You never promised him a room in the house?
Correct. He was happy living where he lived. He had a lot of items in the garage, tools. He collected things. He had a big room there. He had his TV, his musical instruments. He was happy.
Did we not have that conversation?
He was happy
about me moving out.
He was happy being in that room. He lived there for 18 months.
What happened? How did he end up? You say in your answer that he was evicted.
Right.
Tell me about that.
The incident he's referring to is when he got into a confrontation with this roommate.
With the drug dealer?
Correct.
Okay.
I don't want to say drug dealer. It's the same as a drug user, okay? It doesn't...
Well, he's selling heroin. I mean, you can call it whatever you want to call it, but he's
Yeah.
dealing drugs from inside of the home.
Correct.
And heroin.
That's right.
When you have someone in a home selling heroin, they're going to be paranoid that someone's going to break in, because people know when you're selling drugs, there's money, and you have addicts coming there to buy drugs. I don't see how you could sleep at night in the home, personally.
I heard a crash. I got up, I went outside. The police officers had been called to the house because of a burglary. So my roommate, that other roommate,
What was the burglary?
He had been robbed recently prior to this, and he thought
Yet
somebody was
another
robbing
reason why
him
you don't wanna
because I
have a
went
drug
pounding on his
dealer in the
door
home.
because I saw somebody coming and going. So I went pounding on his door, you know, because I was sick of it.
So the police came, and what happened?
The policemen came over, they came into the house, they came into the kitchen, they looked in Mr. Rhoads' room, and they saw someone in his room doing drugs. They detained everybody that was in the house, the other roommates, myself included, while they did an investigation.
So you're saying that the reason why the police detained everyone was because someone in the garage
Correct.
was doing some kind of drugs and they saw that?
Correct.
Okay, I don't believe that.
Okay, you don't believe that?
No, I don't. I was a prosecutor in Manhattan, and I had many drug cases. And when the police come and there's evidence that someone is dealing, selling, buying drugs in the home, they're going to search the entire perimeter.
And the reason they did that was because they saw a person in his room with drugs.
You weren't arrested, am I right? Am I correct?
Correct.
No.
I was not arrested. I was not.
No.
Exactly.
So
But
the
he's the
only
one that-
person who was arrested that day was the person dealing heroin out of
That's
the
correct.
home, correct? Okay.
Coming up on Judge Faith, the plaintiff sings the eviction blues.
Why do you say you had to evict him?
It was illegal for him to be staying there.
Did you have another place to live?
No, I had nowhere to go. And he knew that. I had nowhere to go, and he didn't care one bit, you know, if I was on the street or whatnot. Just get out.
And later, the wrecked car is nothing compared to the wrecked trust between former friends.
You can see lie written all over her face. That's
What
the
are you
enemy.
talking about?
She is a
I am
liar.
not.
She is a liar.
Wow.
That's the enemy. They come to kill, steal,
I
and
am not
destroy.
a liar.
You let him destroy not only a great
No.
friendship,
You
but he
weren't,
destroyed you
you
as
didn't
being a
even give us a
potential
chance to-
great
oh.
disciple for Christ.
Plaintiff Josh Rhoads says he was forced to call the police on his drug-dealing housemate, which led to him being forced out of the home. Now he is suing the rental manager for damages. Defendant John Scurich says all the problems at the home were caused by the plaintiff.
What did the police tell you about the garage when they saw the room?
They asked, is this legal? And I said, I don't know. So they reported that to the city. Then the city filed a complaint for having somebody living in the garage.
So you didn't get a room in the house.
Right.
And what happened? Where'd you go? What ended up happening?
Well, I was being evicted, so I went to fight my eviction because, you know, I didn't think it was right that he was
Did you have
evicting me.
another place to live?
No, I had nowhere to go. And he knew that. I had nowhere to go, and he didn't care one bit, you know, if I was on the street or whatnot. Just get out.
So where'd you go?
Ended up back at my mom's, and, you know, I went and fought the eviction, so I'm at the eviction case, and, you know, I lost. I go home, my door has been removed, and I look inside, and everything I own is stolen. My $600 amp, my $1,000 amp, my guitars, my
And
mixer,
was this while you
my
were going to court?
$2,000 60-inch TV.
Where were you?
That's just while I was at the eviction case.
Okay.
And,
Do you know anything about that?
Absolutely nothing.
Your Honor, I asked all the roommates if anybody saw anything being removed out of my room. None of them said they saw anything.
But you're suing him for $5,000
Because I have a
worth of-
feeling that he just let it happen because it makes sense to me that, you know, he thinks that I owe money for back rent or something, or I screwed
Why do
him
you
over.
think he owes money for back rent?
Well, he stopped paying rent.
He doesn't have to
I
pay
stopped
rent to
paying
live
rent
in an
exactly
illegal.
when I
You
heard-
you cannot collect rent on an illegal apartment.
He was still staying at the house there.
You're suing for 18 months of rent. You say you paid illegally
Right.
to the defendant and $5,000 of musical instruments stolen. So here's the thing about the instruments. You said yourself you're not sure what happened or who took them. And frankly, the fact that you had someone in the house dealing heroin and you had people in and out of that house all the time, drug addicts, probably drug dealers too, there's no telling who took your stuff. You're also suing for $9,900 in rent, you say you paid illegally, and that's for the rent you paid to him the entire time that you lived there. When you discover that the apartment is illegal, you don't get back rent for all the money that you've paid. Courts won't award you for back rent. The right thing for you to sue for is for all of the expenses that you had to incur to have to move from that illegal room to another place of your own. So I'm going to order the defendant to pay you a reasonable amount for moving expenses and also a reasonable amount for you to find another apartment and another place to live. So my verdict in this case is for the plaintiff. I'm ordering you to pay him $2,000.
Plaintiff Renee Wright says her former friend begged her to rent a car so she could see her sick mother and then wrecked it. She is suing for $4,015 in damages. Defendant Carrie Ann Armstrong says the plaintiff refused to purchase insurance for the car rental. She is countersuing for $203 for money owed on the rental.
Renee Wright?
Yes.
You are suing the defendant, Carrie Ann Armstrong, for $4,500 damages to an unpaid car rental and also pain and suffering?
Yes.
And you are countersuing Ms. Armstrong for $203 for a balance owed to you based on a car rental?
Yes.
Okay, how did the two of you know each other?
I met Carrie Ann like a year and a half ago. I do street ministry and with youth. And so I met her at a barbecue, and when she found out what God had me doing, she wanted to partake in doing the marches along with us.
When you say street ministry, are you trying to reach youth who are out on the street?
Yeah, we
okay.
are. We're trying to not only reach youth, but drug addicts, gangbangers, dope fiends, whoever it is that's in the street that's lost.
What happened? How did we get here?
What happened is, I was on my way to work. She called me on the phone, and she had a car that was a bucket that wouldn't go. And she called me, and she says to me, Renee, my car is overheating. She said, my mom is sick. I said, don't worry about it. What is it that I can do? You want to use my truck? She says, well, I want to know if you'll rent me a car.
Is what she just described accurate in terms of the conversation? You asked her to rent a car for you?
Yes, it
so you
is.
can go see your mom? How far
Yes.
were you traveling?
Like 40 miles.
Okay.
Yeah, so at first I said no, but then I cared about her so much, and I was so grateful that she was my friend. Her mom's sick. Let me look out for her. She doesn't. Excuse me, I'm still talking. See, rudeness.
for that car.
Rudeness. She's rude. She let her daughter drive the car.
That's not true.
Sitting here.
You
lying.
rented a car on what day?
Yeah, she tried to tow her car
You know
with the
that's
rental
not
car.
true, Renee.
Ma'am.
You can see lie written all over her face. That's
What
the
are you
enemy.
talking about?
She is a
I am
liar.
not.
She is a liar.
Wow.
That's the enemy. They come to kill, steal,
I
and
am not
destroy.
a liar.
Okay,
And you
ma'am,
played
okay.
into
I am
him,
not a
and you
liar.
let him destroy not only a
No.
great friendship,
You
but he
weren't,
destroyed you
you
as
didn't
being
even
a
give us a
potential
chance to-
great disciple for
Ms.
Christ.
Wright,
Miss
what
Jenkins.
date? What date did you go and rent the car for the defendant?
November 16th, 2013.
How much did you pay for the car rental?
Let me tell you about that story.
Can you just tell me how much it was? Can you just tell me how much you paid?
She didn't even have a bank card or enough money
did.
to get the rent-a-car.
That's
She
not
had to
true.
use my bank card. This woman
I paid
took
for
the
it.
rent-a-car with her daughter, cracked
That's
it,
not
and it's
true.
$2,000 worth of damage to where she was a second driver.
but
and then
now
guess
you're,
what?
suing
Now I
me
can't
for
even rent.
$4,000.
Ma'am, hold on a second.
Now I can't even rent from her to rent a car because of the situation.
Coming up, it takes coming to court to hear those very important words.
Why don't you take the opportunity now to apologize for what happened?
Plaintiff Renee Wright says her former friend wrecked a rental car and won't pay. She's suing for damages. Defendant Carrie Ann Armstrong says the plaintiff refused to purchase insurance for the car rental.
How much were the damages to the rental car?
$2,125.
Okay, what happened? How did you have the accident?
Okay, what happened? My daughter was driving my car. It's an older model car.
Miss Wright?
I'm sorry.
I hit her from the back.
So
with the
you
rental car.
were driving the rental car,
Yes.
and you hit your car, which your daughter was driving from
Yes,
behind.
yes.
Okay, and that's what caused the damage?
Yes.
Okay, so why do you feel that you are not responsible for that?
When we went to the car company, when we were there, I said, since I'm paying for everything, you should get insurance. Since I'm driving the car.
So
and
did she get car rental insurance?
Oh my God, if
And
that
then,
was so true, you were a second driver. Why you didn't get it yourself?
I want you to calm down. I want to hear what she has to say. Did she get the insurance or not?
No, she didn't want me to pay for it, and it was in her hands.
Okay, so you're saying you're not responsible because she should have had car rental insurance to cover the car.
Exactly.
She decided to do something nice for you because your mother was sick and you needed a car to drive 40 miles away to see your mother. She didn't have to do what she did.
I was hurt to this day, and I kept texting her, calling her, crying out to her, reaching out to her because I felt not only one bad about her mom, she was on my, she's my friend.
She's being nice right now, but
no,
it wasn't
you
like
were my
that.
friend on Facebook, and not only that,
she's being nice.
Hold
and
on.
you know, if you're
is
friends on
actually nice.
Facebook, you're
I know,
really
but
friends.
wait a minute.
Yeah,
We
this
do
is
ministry,
actually
and
nice right now.
no, I'm not being nice
Yes,
right now.
you are.
I'm just trying to
Yes, you are.
stand.
I want to say something to both
That's
of you.
not
Let me
true.
say something to both of you because both of you are involved in, you say street ministry.
Yes.
You said in your answer that you mentor young people who are
Yes.
involved in gangs and
Yes.
guns and drugs. So frankly, I mean, what do you tell those young people when they make a mistake? You didn't have a car accident on purpose. You made a mistake. What do you tell those young people when they make a mistake about taking responsibility for their actions as their mentor?
I guess now I'll tell them to own up to the things they do, own up to it.
That's right. What's your counterclaim about?
When I gave her the $280, after at the rent-a-car company, I think the balance left was like $200. So I was like, put that towards what I owe on the car. She never did that.
And now, Judge Faith rules.
Why don't you take the opportunity now to apologize for what happened?
I'm sorry that I wrecked the car, and I thank you for renting a car for my mom.
And I accept it.
So that's the right thing to do. It's easy. That was the right thing to do. My judgment in this case is for the plaintiff.
I don't want you to cry, Carrie Ann. I don't want you to cry because I do love you. But, you know, you kept avoiding me. You were going to make payment arrangements, and you never did.
This is the bashing I get, like, even though
Bashing?
after this.
Wow.
After I said I'm sorry.
And I said, I appreciate it. And I just told you I love you.
Yeah,
Something's
but
really
it's
wrong
a lot of bashing.
Miss Wright,
That picture.
Miss
You
Wright,
like to bash people too
she
much.
apologized.
I did.
You accepted
So-
her
I did.
apology.
Exactly.
And you know what?
You have
After
to keep
today,
talking. Oh
you
my
ladies are
gosh.
both in Los Angeles. After today, let it go. Leave it alone, okay? This case is over. We're done. You apologize. You're going to pay her the $2,015.22 for damages to the car. Your counterclaim is dismissed. She doesn't have to pay you back for the car rental for obvious reasons. Judgment for the plaintiff. Good luck, ladies.
This homeowner hired a handyman to fix up her house and claims he bailed with the job incomplete.
7 days in a row, he did not show up. There was an issue of not having gas money. Again, the truck broke down. He fell off a ladder.
But this jack of all trades says he couldn't finish on time because the homeowner kept demanding more work.
There's a lot of work that I did that wasn't in the contract that was for gratis work.
And later,
What's your relationship?
We're a couple.
Okay,
And
so
I work with him. I do the paperwork, the office things.
she's rude and I don't like her.
Judge Faith drops the hammer.
Let me explain to you how things work in my courtroom.
Plaintiff Catrice Harris is suing her former handyman for $2,965 for breach of contract and not finishing the job on time. Defendant Gary Froehlich is countersuing for lost wages. He is accompanied in court today by his business partner and wife, Sharon Ryan.
Remain seated and come to order. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Your Honor, this case is Harris versus Froehlich.
Thank you, Barbara. Catrice Harris?
Yes.
You were suing the defendants Gary Froehlich
Yes.
and Sharon Ryan for $2,965, a refund for what you say is a breach of contract, a construction contract. You hired them to work in your home.
Yes, ma'am.
And you are countersuing for $1,200 for lost wages, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll start with you, Ms. Harris. Tell me what happened here.
Well, Your Honor, I found the defendant on thumbtack.com around June 19th. We met, he walked through my home, we listed everything that needed to be done. I gave an exhaustive list of all that I needed, and we narrowed it down to what he could do that would fit my budget. So we clearly outlined all the expectations. There was work that needed to be done outside the home, replacing some fascia board, doing some painting, inside the home, removing old wallpaper, painting, removing carpet, and putting down some wood laminate flooring. And it was really important that everything be finished by a deadline because I had my mother coming in from out of the country and also picking up and bringing my grandmother. I needed the house to be right.
What was the deadline?
The deadline was August 9th.
Okay.
He stated he could have everything done within 4 weeks, but there was a window of 7 weeks just in case anything went wrong. At the time that we met, I also asked what happens if something goes wrong. Do you do this by yourself? Because I didn't think he could complete it all by himself when we met. And he said that he had individuals that he would hire to ensure that the job was done per our agreement within a 4-week time period.
Did you all enter into a written agreement?
Yes, I have a copy of that
May I
written
see
agreement.
that, please? And what was the agreed upon price for the work that he would do?
$8,000 total.
So you say that you met him on thumbtack.com. What is that website?
It's a website where people can advertise different services that range from painting to cleaning to all kinds of services.
Are you a licensed contractor?
No, because a lot of my work don't necessarily need license.
Okay. So
like
you do
painting
this
and whatnot, you don't need a license for that in the state of Texas.
You're only required for electrical licensing.
And
Okay.
plumbing and stuff like that.
So how long have you been
Now,
doing
as far
this?
as the deadline is concerned,
Let me ask you
iterate.
something. What's your relationship?
We're a couple.
Okay,
And
so
I work with him. I do the paperwork, the office things.
Okay, so you work in the business together.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
And how long have you been doing this kind of work, Mr. Froehlich?
All my life, over 30 years.
Do you have a
Always.
specialty or do you do
I
all type
specialize
of...
in many things.
Let me just finish my question. I know you
Okay.
think you know what I'm going to ask. Let me finish my
Sorry.
question, though. Do you have a specialty in terms of contracting or do you build houses?
Mainly remodeling. It's a scope of work that I can do.
Which is a synonym for renovation.
Okay, so you do home renovations.
Yes.
What was the agreed upon work that you wanted him to do?
I needed the fascia board replaced. I needed the whole exterior painted simply because the old paint was fading. Inside, once the outside was finished, he agreed to take up carpet and put down new wood laminate flooring, and I would purchase all of the supplies and material.
I believe it was tile originally.
Yeah, the original contract was for tile.
Don't interrupt. Let her finish,
Okay.
and then I'll come to you and you can respond, okay?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Actually, it was always wood laminate flooring because I bought samples, I ordered free samples and showed those to Gary, and he helped me select what was going to be easier for him to lay down himself. So in the beginning, he was to take up the old carpet and put down the new wood laminate flooring and also remove wallpaper and paint. And we walked through the house so he would see specifically which rooms needed what before we agreed on anything at all.
And did you pay anything up front?
Yes, I did. I paid half up front, $4,000. I did pay that. I think it's really important to note that the first day that he showed up, he was there for less than 2 hours, tore down a lot of wood, left it piled in my front yard, which I could have been fined for from the Homeowners Association. And the very next day when he was to return, his truck broke down. His truck broke down 4 or 5 times over the span of 6 weeks.
Was there an issue with your truck breaking down 4 or 5 times?
I did have issues with the truck, but I still made it to work.
7 days in a row, he did not show up. There was an issue of not having gas money. Again, the truck broke down. He fell off a ladder. He sustained heat stroke. All of this while he was inside, not able to work because he didn't feel well. And Sharon let it be known accidentally that he was doing work on their home and other people's homes as well, because I lived a little too far for them to drive to get to my house. He knew where I lived when they signed the paperwork. If it was too far, they shouldn't have agreed to it.
Coming up, Judge Faith puts on the pressure.
I want you to answer the question I'm asking. I'm asking for the reason why you didn't show up for several days in a row.
Well,
I was answering the question.
No, you weren't.
Plaintiff Catrice Harris says that after paying the defendant the full $8,000 to fix up her property, he failed to complete the work by the agreed-upon deadline. Defendant Gary Froehlich claims that the plaintiff kept adding additional work, which prevented him from fulfilling their contract.
Were there a number of days in a row where you weren't showing up to her home?
Yes.
Okay, what was the reason?
This contract was extended a lot. We gave her a lot of additional work. In her own letter, she says we were going to throw in a lot of
I
things.
want you to answer the question I'm
Yes, ma'am.
asking. You're jumping ahead to additional work that you claim she wanted to have done. I'm asking for the reason why you didn't show up for several days in a row.
Well,
I was answering the question.
No, you weren't. So now is your time to answer it.
Okay.
What's the answer?
Since the contract went longer than we expected, I did take additional work. We have to pay workers, we have to pay for equipment, rentals.
Okay, that
There's
makes
just
no
basic
sense to me.
overhead.
Surely I'm not the only person who doesn't understand what you just said. Since her contract is running longer than expected,
Can I answer that?
you took on additional projects outside of her contract instead of finishing hers?
Yeah, I'm able to run 2 or 3 jobs at the same time. I don't have to necessarily devote all my time to her job. I have to satisfy other customers as well as her. So,
you think that
in
it's
order to
appropriate-
keep my business going, I have to keep everybody happy.
Well, do you think it's appropriate for you not to show up for 7 days in a row, sir?
Well, I'm not punching a time clock. I mean, I can make her aware of my absence. Yeah.
Okay, and so when there's a deadline,
which we would have completed, absolutely.
No, let me finish. When there's a
That is
deadline,
the issue.
lose the attitude. You understand?
Yes.
You have one more time to get smart with me before I put you out. Because I'm being nice right now. You don't want to get me upset. I'm doing my job, which is asking questions. All I want to know are the answers to the questions I'm asking.
Are we going to have an opportunity to speak our side of it and the delays that she caused?
There's a deadline in this contract. That deadline was not met.
It was met. She fired us before she allowed us to make it. The last text we have is, she said, when will you show up? We said 9 o'clock again the next day. She wasn't there.
I even made phone calls to try to make arrangements so when I could go next.
So this contract was for $8,000. You say at some point you paid them the rest of the money?
Yes, on August.
So you paid them a full $8,000?
Full $8,000.
If there were such issues with him making excuses, how do you get to the point where you pay another $4,000? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I'm asking Ms. Harris.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I totally agree. And looking back on it, I'm thinking I looked pretty crazy. When we finally finished painting the outside, which in all fairness, the outside looked good. At that point, I had conversations with Sharon, and who is, if I may say, a really good con artist. She begged me. She said, I know Gary has trouble communicating. I know Gary doesn't delegate well, but I'm going to send help.
I was trying to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Actually,
You were so emotional.
Gary's
Ms.
words
Ryan.
were...
She was so
Ms.
emotional
Ryan,
through the whole
wait,
thing.
Let me tell you.
I had to hold her hand through the whole thing.
Okay, stop talking. Stop talking. Go
I will.
ahead, and then I will let you.
I will stop
I will let
talking.
you have an opportunity to respond. Go ahead.
Gary used the term, if I can't get it done, I can hire some Mexicans to get it done. That was a little bit offensive to me, but those were his words. I asked Sharon if they had plans to hire anyone to assist with the job, and she said, don't worry about it. I've already hired someone to clean up the debris that we left in your backyard from where they pulled down old wood, and she said that she would make sure Gary had...
Okay, Miss Ryan, tell me what happened. What was that conversation?
You ordered me to stop talking.
You know what?
Stop talking. No,
listen, goodbye. You can go.
Goodbye.
Get out. Just leave.
Out of here, Gary. We're going.
Coming up on Judge Faith, how much work is too much?
I don't need your wife here for this because these text messages speak for themselves. Patrice, took truck in, not drivable, thought it'd be a quick fix, but I'm waiting for a part. I'll keep you updated. Fast forward a few days later, sir. I didn't want to take a chance with the rain. All is well. I will be there tomorrow.
Plaintiff Catrice Harris says that after paying the defendant the full $8,000 to fix up her property, he failed to complete the work by the agreed-upon deadline. Defendant Gary Froehlich claims that the plaintiff kept adding additional work, which prevented him from fulfilling their contract.
Sir, if you would like to finish your case, I'm going to hear what you have to say.
Sure.
Go ahead.
I can sum it up real simple.
Please do.
There was a lot of rotten wood, as the contract states. that when you start something, something like this, it's all unforeseen. So therefore, it took a little longer outside than I anticipated. From there, the paint took longer because it took more paint. There was bees that had to be removed. I told her I would do that for nothing, so she wouldn't have to get another exterminator in there. There's a lot of work that I did that wasn't in the contract that was for gratis work, so that I'd get a good review on this thumbtack. After the outside was done, I moved on to the inside. And so, because it took me so long, I had to get other work in order to keep my business going and pay my bills and whatnot. But to sum it up, the job would have been done. I had 5 days left. The job would have been done before her mother came. And I mean, that's all I have to say.
So, Ms. Harris, do you have photos of the condition your home was left in after you say you terminated your contract with the defendant?
Yes, ma'am. And
May
I would
see
not
those?
have terminated the contract with him had he shown, when I gave him that final, if I can go back to the question you asked me a moment ago, the final $2,000 was to be paid once the work was completed. He came to me and said that he was going to be evicted from his home. And if there was any way I could pay the final $2,000 early, he promised to have the work done within 3 days before the following Monday.
And did you tell her that?
There was a lot of said between her and
I don't think she's making that up. Let's look at the photos.
So this is how he left my backyard after he finished the exterior, and when he and Sharon promised, and I have their text message conversations, they promised to send someone to clean up my backyard. They never did.
That Bree gets done at the end of the job, when all the material from the inside and outside is done, and then at the end of the job, everything's picked up, cleaned up.
Right. And you're saying you didn't have the opportunity because you were terminated.
that was all on a pile in the backyard.
Next photo.
I came home. He was supposed to come back and finish painting. This is how he left one of the bedrooms painted.
And that's free work there.
No, that's not.
Yes,
that was
it
included
is.
in the contract.
It's not even in the contract.
Let's go to the next photo.
Oh, my goodness.
Let's go to the next one.
And that's an example of the flooring that was cracking because he didn't lay the flooring properly and tight enough, and the second contractor had to fix that.
I don't need your wife here for this. One, because she's rude and I don't like her. Okay? Two, because these text messages speak for themselves, okay? These text messages are between you and her, and they speak for themselves.
No, a lot of the text messages she wrote. I don't text.
Judge Faith, may I say one more thing about that last payment? He agreed that if I paid the $2,000 early, that he would throw in an extra dining room and hallway area with paint. It was after that 17th that he failed to show up for the following 7 days, which was outlined in the document I gave. So if he'd planned to complete the work, he would have shown up, is my point.
Do you have proof that you paid another contractor work on the same area? Would you please submit that to the court? Here's the issue after reviewing the text messages with you and or your wife, sir. June 24th, text message from this side. Catrice, took truck in, not drivable, thought it'd be a quick fix, but I'm waiting for a part. I'll keep you updated, I apologize. It's one day. 2 days later, I will not be able to see you today before you go to work. I'll see you after work. She expresses concern because that's not enough time for you to be there to get work done. Fast forward a few days later, text message from you. I will be there tomorrow to do garage doors and caulk Thursday. I will paint. I apologize for the delay. This is another day you didn't show up. She's texting you, asking you, prompting you, what's going on? When is this going to get done? When is that going to get done?
And I was answering her.
The next day, right, but
you
and
don't
I'm glad
text.
that you're responding to her text messages, sir, but that's not the problem. The problem is you're not responding, you're not being responsive in doing the work in a timely manner.
According
July
to who?
4th,
Her or me?
you're a no-show. Thank you for picking up the paint. I will see you the next time. She gets home. Gary, I'm home. Did something happen today? I didn't want to take a chance with the rain. All is well. I will be there tomorrow. Fast forward a few days later, sir. The garage, didn't get a chance to finish. My truck was there. More is wrong than I expected. I'll let you know tomorrow. 2 days later, I'm fixing the truck and headed to the doctor, as I mentioned. Then, this is where it gets really troubling because she sends a message and she really lays out everything that's going on here. And she's being a lot nicer than I would have been, just so you know. Because 12 days have gone by, she's paid you in full, and apparently
No,
after
she
she's
didn't pay
paid
me in
you,
full.
after she's
No, she
repaid,
didn't.
sir, she paid you the entire amount for this contract, correct?
In different segments, yes.
Right,
She gave
so
me
at some point-
4,000, 2,000, and then 2,000. In the middle of there, she gave me a 2,000 draw. And when I asked for that 2,000 draw, I thought she was going to have a heart attack in her front yard. She started yelling and hooting and hollering. Even the neighbors saw that she was screaming and yelling at me because I asked for a second draw.
Okay, so you got a total of $8,000, sir, am I correct?
In different increments, yes.
I don't care about the increments. You got a total of $8,000, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. After she's paid you in full, you don't show up.
Coming up, Judge Faith rules. And now, Judge Faith rules.
Sir, what's your counterclaim about?
I could have lined up more work, but instead I was waiting on a response for her of when I could go back to the house with other people to finish it. I could have had that house finished within the time period before her mother came.
Right, if you had showed up the days that you were supposed to show up.
And even the 5 days, even the 5 days that I had left on the contract.
Why are you suing for $2,000 in addition to the $965? It costs $965 for you to hire a new contractor.
$2,000.
Don't interrupt me while I'm
already
talking.
Done.
You know what? I don't see how you dealt with them for 2 months. I can't deal with you for another 2 minutes. Your counterclaim is dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff, $2,965.